And he said, "Lady, can I ask you a question?" He must have been 8 years old. And our bartender said, "Sure." He said, "What's that lady doing up there, kind of floating around with the long dress on?"
So you saw it too.
I was standing there and I had goosebumps.
Hello again. We're here in the Cranbury Inn, in Cranbury, New Jersey with Kim. And Kim's going to tell us a lot about the place, but also you can introduce yourself and tell us your background and why you're such an expert on the place.
Sure. Well, I started here September 30th, 2001 to be exact. And within about a month, I moved up to management because I had always been in management my whole life. And so I've been here since then. I did attempt to retire back in October of 22, but then came back as, was called back a few months later, and I'm the sales manager right now, which I'm very comfortable with. I love working in this restaurant because of the history. This building was built as a house in 1750.
Oh, so it was a house first.
It was a house first. And then because we're halfway between New York and Philadelphia, we became a halfway point-ish for people traveling on horseback and then eventually stagecoach, as a halfway point to water. There was a barn in the back that burned down years ago. Now our new banquet facility is there on that spot. But they would water their horses. They would have something to eat. It turned into an inn. The original owners, of course, lived here as well, too. And then it was sold through the years, but it still stayed as an inn.
It was a house, but 1750 something was with the restaurants.
In about 1780, it became the full-fledged inn, and then it evolved into a restaurant, probably a inn and restaurant. Full-fledged restaurant, probably around the turn of the century.
And I imagine they added to it because it was just
and then there were additions. Yes. So this room that we're in now, this was part of the original house. It went from the lobby straight up. And then the front and rear dining rooms were built in, I think, the 20s. And so there were different additions here and there.
So it's oldest continuously operating restaurant
in New Jersey, and the fourth oldest in the country. Wow. So to come here every day, sometimes I take it for granted, but once in a while as I walk through, especially the older section, it hits you like this has been around for a very long time.
We're just going through a little bit that we saw coming in. It was just already, you can tell it's old building because it's settled a certain way.
Sure.
The woodwork and all the artifacts.
We're talking about soldiers when this was a dirt road here. Soldiers during the Revolutionary War passing by. Civil War, were housed. So there's a lot going on in that respect. As a matter of fact, the people that have been here, Einstein, when he lived in Princeton, frequented the Cranbury Inn often. And I know this spot at the former bar. It's now been remodeled. He sat at, and I would kind of rub the bars, thinking I could improve my trigonometry, and it didn't work.
You go with circles.
Yes, come on. But, a movie was, part of it was filmed here. What was it, with Meg Ryan and... I forget. And Walter Matthau.
What was the movie about Einstein?
It was about Einstein. Yeah. So, sorry, it should come to me, but it doesn't. But the thing is, the town of Cranbury used to be, to go backwards, spelled Cranberry as Cranberry, and then it changed. But it was built there was a stream, and a grist mill started. And so when that happens, then it becomes populated. We are actually exactly center of the state of New Jersey.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah. I know it's between New York and Philly, but I didn't look at it.
Central New Jersey, right smack in the middle. Yeah, so that's just a little history of the inn, but it is quite a history. Yeah.
Yeah, but I heard all the stories about, maybe you could tell us, what did you
encountered.
Yeah.
Well, Cranbury Inn is rumored to have spirits, and I was a skeptic for a long, long time. But I did have 2 encounters that kind of convinced me that there is something going on. So one night, I was closing up. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had a young man, a busser, with me, so I wasn't alone. So turned off all the lights, came downstairs. He was waiting for me downstairs. And when I passed by this section we're in now, the older section going down, I said jokingly to the spirits, well, we're going to leave you alone now. We're leaving, so have fun. And went downstairs. So when I went to the front door, the young man that was with me opened the screen door, held it for me. The front door was all the way wide open. And I went to go reach for the handle, and it abruptly slammed it all the way around so hard that I thought the glass would break, and I backed up.
To block you from leaving, or
No.
To let you go out?
Let me, because I had 1 foot out, and I was reaching in to grab it, and that doesn't happen. That door stays. So the next day, I said to the owner's wife, I told her what happened, and she said to me, you have to go upstairs and apologize to the spirits. You upset them. You mocked them. And I said, really? So I went upstairs, and she followed me, and I said, I'm right about here in the stairway. I said, I'm sorry. She goes, oh no, that's not good enough. Be sincere. So I had to apologize to the spirits in a very sincere way, and I never mocked again. And then the second story is, a new addition, this grafters. And one of our bartenders who has been here about 18 years, she used to say to me, when she was bartending events in that room, she'd say, in the rafters in the far end, I see a woman just floating with period dress on, probably maybe from the 1820s or 30s or so. And I said, you do? She said, see that person all the time. And so one day we were having an event, and a little boy came up to her for, I think, a soda. And he said, lady, can I ask you a question? He must have been 8 years old. And our bartender said, sure. He said, what's that lady doing up there, kind of floating around with the long dress on?
So you saw it too.
I was standing there, and I had goosebumps. So those are the 2 very...
Did you see it? Or just the kid saw it?
Just the kid, but yeah. So those things convinced me that there are. Of course, we've had seances here. We've had mediums here, but I kind of just go along and do my own job and stay away from it all. I don't want to disrupt the spirits after that door slamming incident.
But one of the bartenders told us about, she showed me a video of the orbs floating around the guy with the guitar. She said to me that we try to cut it in, but she said at least they're very friendly. She doesn't have any negative experiences.
They are friendly, but I did have a medium here that was conducting a seance, and they wanted me to be part of it. And she did ask me to remove myself from the room. She said, they're not fond of you.
Really?
I don't know why.
Because you made fun of them that one time.
That's probably why. So that's my story. I'm sticking to that.
Okay. Now, did you hear stories from other people?
Oh, yes. We had a gentleman here that worked here. And he said that a Union soldier from the Civil War followed him around in full uniform all the time. He just got used to it. He goes, he was always following me around. So, yeah. And then apparently there was a cat here. And I forget the cat's name. I think it was Morris, if you believe it or not. And they say that people saw him walking around the bar, on top of the bar, coming up the stairs and going into the other part.
A ghost of a cat?
Ghost of a cat.
Oh, so it never was, it wasn't a cat that passed away and then it was just a ghost.
It was a ghost of a cat. They say it was one of the owners had a cat here, and the cat lived to be about 19 or 20 years old, and the cat, yeah. So those are the little stories that you hear. Yeah. And so.
But, well, there's so much history here.
We have a lot of what we call ghost. I don't know, the different companies, they come in and they bring all their equipment with the things that go like this.
Ghost hunting.
Yeah, ghost checkers and all that stuff. Yeah, they're always coming in, but unfortunately, they like to come in around, get here about midnight and stay till 6 a.m. So nobody.
Did they find anything?
Oh yeah, they say they find all kinds of things. Yeah, they find activity here and energy there and orbs. Yeah, it's kind of a big historic aspect of the Cranbury Inn. Yeah.
No, anything negative happen, or is it all like
no? Just benign, very benign stuff.
Well, that's great to know.
That is great to know.
Me?
Yeah, we don't want any of that other stuff.
Because at least they're nice if they like you. It's not too mean.
Yeah, they're annoyed with me. So, but the Cranbury Inn, we've had generations of customers here. We've had people that got married here in the 20s and 30s, and then they've had their children's christenings here. They've had their children's showers and weddings here. They've had, unfortunately, funeral repasts here through the generations. And we have had many people come back that were married here maybe in the 50s. Mm-hmm. And they'll come back every year, sometimes every other year for their anniversary here. It's a very, very special restaurant. It really is.
Checking out your menu before. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good menu too.
Yeah.
Food's great.
It's pretty Now, so there's a rumor, but we don't know if it really happened, about Underground Railroad. Do you want to mention anything about that?
Well, allegedly, this was part of the Underground Railroad. Of course, being a stagecoach stop and a stop, it was a little easier to hide, the runaway people that were escaping.
People change. So
they would come here probably in the darkness of night, and then they would be able to go in what we call a body box, and it's actually in the steps. And
we did look at it before.
Yeah. And then apparently, allegedly, there was a tunnel that went through underneath the road when it was, of course, probably still a dirt road, and into the cemetery under a false grave. And so they would go out there. So just to give them rest, they would be here for rest, roof, and sustenance, and so on. So we were a stop on that. So that's what it was. Now, I don't know which groups were involved. I know that the Harriet Tubman had many branches of her group. So it might have been, but right now I haven't seen that information. We dig for it.
Well, that in the attic, that space that looks like, why would you have that unless you're hiding something?
I understand that.
It doesn't seem like a regular storage space.
Yeah. And that's apparently what it is, but we need to be 100% positive until we say.
Anyone found the tunnel?
No, when they put the, constructed new roads and all that, probably tunnel.
Totally collapsed and
covered in whatever. Yeah. So, but again, this is to a lot of people, this is home.
The building is fascinating. There's so much history in it.
We give a lot of tours. We met
one of the servers earlier, and he was here for almost 50 years.
Guy Williams. Yeah. It's coming up to 50 years.
That's
so we want to do something special for him. Don't tell anybody. No, we want to. Oh, he is wonderful. When Guy was the server here, I'm not sure if he told you or not, they didn't write anything down when they took orders. They remembered everything. And then that went to the kitchen. Yes. And yeah, they were black tie and everything back then. It was really, really something.
I would be fired on the first day.
Yeah. What did they?
Yeah.
Can't you remember? Was that Coke, Pepsi? Was it onion soup or regular soup? Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't last 1 minute.
Yeah, that's correct.
So any other interesting things that
I did want to talk about one very interesting historical fact here. During the Revolutionary War, the Marquis de Lafayette and Alexander Hamilton were leading about 2,000 of General Washington's troops chasing the British soldiers across New Jersey. So we are very rich in that Revolutionary War thing. So Friday, June 26, 1778, Lafayette and Hamilton came to the crossroads here in Cranbury, and they were housed at the home of the only child of the innkeeper, Mary Perrine, and she just lived a few houses up. But when those troops passed through this dirt road here, they encamped about a quarter of a mile up through town, what is town now, and toward 130, and they encamped there. And that is when Lafayette planned the Battle of Monmouth. Now, the Battle of Monmouth was to try to keep the British out of Manhattan. And then for the next day, the battle was the next day. And unfortunately, the British say they won. We say we won. We did not keep the British out of Manhattan. So we really didn't win. They kind of call it in history books a draw because there were concessions.
Mm-hmm.
So, but eventually, of course, we won the war. We lost the battle, won the war. But I thought that's interesting. And sometimes when I drive again on this main street, I think of all those troops marching by, which wasn't the only time, but to plan the Battle of Monmouth a quarter of a mile away from here. So we're so rich in history. So I just wanted to bring that.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good thing that you did, because I did read about that, and it was an interesting piece of history.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.